Hello, everyone. My name is Ryan Cam, and welcome back to the Reiner Project, where myself and Russell Howell are going through the late, great Rob Reiner's filmography. And Russell, we are somehow still in the middle of the golden age of Reiner.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of crazy. We're still in it. Looking forward to talking about Misery. I've always enjoyed that film. Probably one of the Reiner movies that I've probably seen more than any of the other ones, I would assume.
It's definitely just based on, I would imagine, just popularity, I guess. It's one of the more famous ones because not only is Reiner directing this, but it's based on the book by Stephen King, and we'll get into that. And in terms of award success and box office success, it's among the bigger successes that he had. But without any further ado, let's get straight into it. Like, comment, subscribe, do the thing. We would love it very much. Let's get into I Am in Misery.
There ain't nobody who can comfort me. Oh yeah.
God, sing.
It's for the best.
This was
There you
directed.
go.
This was released in 1990, based on the book by Stephen King. Starred James Caan, rest in peace, Kathy Bates, who won an Oscar for this, and many more. It tells the story of Paul Sheldon, played by James Caan, who has just killed off, or is about to kill off in the latest book he has written, a character named Misery. And in a bit of a long story, like, the Misery novels have brought him great success. However, he gets into a car accident and ends up in the care of one of his biggest fans named Annie Wilkes, played by Kathy Bates, who we learn is slightly obsessed. And that's
It's
like saying the Pacific Ocean is fairly deep. And we pretty much are sitting there with Paul and realizing that Paul is pretty much in hell and he has to find his way out with most of himself intact, and we'll get into that. But Russell, you and I have seen this one a bunch of times, but did you see this in theaters or later?
No, I was 7 when this movie came out. No, I probably watched it. I was probably way younger than I should have been watching it. I probably watched it, man, I would say maybe within maybe I was probably like 10, 11, 12-ish, I would say. I was young, but I mean, I grew up watching, you know what I mean? I watched, Nightmare on Elm Street and stuff like that. So I grew up kind of watching scary movies. So like this didn't really bother me, but I just remember how, just how like revered this movie is. You know what I mean? Just obviously, when you look at Stephen King's works, there's only a handful of works that really, you have that are, held in high regards movie wise. Obviously, The Shining really takes a lot of it. The Shining is a lot different than the book, from what people have said that read The Shining. But you have just a handful of his works that are highly revered in movie form, and Misery is definitely one of them. Obviously, Shawshank Redemption. You have other ones, but I'm saying like with the ones up there in the upper echelon of King's works. But yeah.
Yes. From what I have come to understand, this is one of Stephen King's favorite adaptations, and it makes all the sense in the world because it's just fantastic stuff. And we've talked about it quite a bit, but I mean, let's just put into scope that up to this point, Rob Reiner had gone from coming of age romance with Sure Thing, straight up coming of age drama with Stand By Me, fantasy romance adventure with Princess Bride, and now and straight up romance with When Harry Met Sally. So he had blended genres, but he was more of a romance fantasy style director. This is straight horror. There is no romance here. This main character is in the worst possible scenario and he has to find his way out. And it's a lot easier said than done. It's still surreal to me that James Caan's no longer with us. I mean, he's just phenomenal in general, but I think this is his best performance here. I think there's a lot of Stephen King in this. I think Stephen King's the kind of guy who's like, I wonder if this would ever happen to me. And like, this is kind of like the nightmare scenario scenario for him. And I'm sure he's grateful for his fans, but it makes you think is like, what if these Colleen Hoover or Frida McFadden types really think like, what are my fans really like? Or are they as deranged as this? I don't know. I was thinking about it today.
Well, yeah. Look at Selena, the singer, who her fan club, her fan club president killed her. You know what I mean? Like, you don't know what's going on in people's heads. You know what I mean? Obviously, think back to like, something obviously cheesy like The Fan with Wesley Snipes and Robert De Niro. You have another one. What's that other one called? Fanatic with John Travolta. That's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directed by, of all people, Fred Durst.
Fred Durst, yeah.
The lead singer of Limp
Limp
Bizkit.
Bizkit,
Roll.
But no, what I'm saying is like you see a different, like it's a whole different animal when you like really take it to the next level of being an ultra fan. You know what I mean? But I think the two, I think the two play off one another perfectly in this film, and I do like. This is almost like a shades of 12 Angry Men, where it's almost centered in one location pretty much the whole time. Paul Sheldon's like the guest room in Annie Wilkes' house. That's hard to accomplish and then, obviously be entertaining, in itself. So I think, Reiner does a really great job building that suspense up, being in one location,
Then, of course, you have Kathy Bates, who she won an Oscar for this. And I mean, that was the correct decision right there, because she just got it. Like, she starts out as like, well, isn't this woman just nice? And then you start to spend a little time with her and you realize, oh, she's kind of obsessed, but still on an even keel. And then you realize, oh, she is like the complete opposite of even keel. And the movie, to its credit, because directed by Reiner, but it was also written by William Goldman, who also wrote Princess Bride. Yeah. So they did a good job of not showing too much. You get just enough to realize that this is just a terrible human being. And in her eyes, is like the only thing that gives her any sort of joy are the misery novels. And so in her mind, Paul Sheldon is just the enemy. It's like, you ruined my misery! You ruined my misery! And so it's just absolutely terrifying stuff. And I don't know if you want to talk about this now or later, the hobbling scene. We might as well just get it out of the way here. But as a runner, my ankles feel just terrible every time I watch this. Like, I almost can't watch it just because you see the ankle turn. Like, that's why it affects me so much. It's not like a case of you see the hammer swing, it cuts away and you hear it away. No. You see hammer hit skin and go, and you're just
you hear it. Yeah. The sound, I think, is the worst part of that. What they were doing, it was hobbling. Was it called hobbling?
That's what it's called. Yeah.
And they kind of explain it to where like they would do that when like somebody was like caught stealing something. They used it as a form of punishment so that the person couldn't get away, I guess, or whatever. But the character Kathy Bates, Annie Wilkes, in this story, though, I think, there's just so many layers of her, like an onion almost, to peel away because of the fact that you don't know, like in the beginning, what sets her off. She comes in nice, something rubs her the wrong way, but then she's nice again. You never know what's going to happen. I think she, and Kathy Bates, obviously deserving of the, Oscar for this, this portrayal of this crazy former nurse, ultra fan of Paul Sheldon. I think, she does such a great job embodying this. But her, like I said, both of them just play off perfect off one another. You know what I mean? And, Annie Wilkes's character, like she's terrifying. You know what I mean? She's just so terrifying all the time. And you always watch when she's on the screen because you never know what the hell she's going to do because she's just so crazy,
And then we, like you were alluding to, this movie is pretty much a not one shot, but
for the most part,
one location type of movie. And it's kind of hard to accomplish that because you need to make things interesting, because the movie's an hour and 47 minutes. You
Yeah.
got to make it interesting. Like after the car crash at the beginning, you're pretty much stuck in this room for 90% of it.
Yeah,
So you
I
got to
mean,
make it interesting, and they do.
yeah, and I think Reiner does a great job of doing that. Like, you figure he wrecks, she finds him, he's in her house now. Okay, now the rest of the film is going to center in on this, this location, this fixed location. So how can we make this? How can we make the viewers be invested in it? And how can we how can we get the suspense up? And I think they do a perfect job of it. Even when you have different scenes where, Annie's going to the store to buy a different kind of paper. And Paul is pretty much like rummaging through the house, and he leaves. He knocks off the penguin. Even the attention to detail to that, the attention to detail with the penguin, and he faces it the opposite way, and you see his character not look at that. You think he would have looked at that, because even when he reaches for the pills, he goes up and he fronts the pills back how they were. You know what I mean? So he paid attention to that, but he didn't pay attention to the penguin, which I thought was kind of crazy, but obviously had to happen. But just the attention to detail and that just shows you how fixated Annie Wilkes is too, though, how OCD and fixated she is too, because how many people would, recognize something like that,
I believe the kids say locked in today.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
But to the point earlier that this is a one-shot location, it's James Caan and Kathy Bates, but the only other characters that you see are the sheriff and his wife, who are played by Richard Farnsworth, who is the star of my beloved The Straight Story, directed by David Lynch, and Lauren Bacall, who is just
missing Humphrey Bogart.
Yeah, just a legendary actor from the 50s and 60s. Like star of many gangster movies. Like she was in Murder on the Orient Express with Sidney Lumet. So just like she was a legend, and she was good in pretty much everything that she is in.
Yeah.
And she's just, this is not her movie, but when she is there, it's always nice to see.
Yeah.
So it's nice that Reiner gave her some shine here.
Yeah, I mean, as Paul Sheldon's publicist, I think she does a great job, just being herself. She in this time period, she's already had the limelight, so to speak. You know what I mean? So she's pretty much been there, done that. But she still showcases that she's still beautiful for her age, and she still can act circles around a lot of other people. So I think it is nice, kind of a nice little nod that Reiner put her in just a small little role like this. And even Farnsworth too, who was fantastic as the sheriff too.
Yes, and then we get to the ending, which I mean, I love this ending so much, because you're stuck in this room with these people for so long, and then just the hobbling has happened, and the manuscript's finally done, and you just to go get the champagne, and it's get the champagne, and then he douses the manuscript in the lighter fluid, and he just sets it on fire in front of Annie. In that moment, it's I don't care if I die, I'm not giving this woman what she wants. Just absolutely amazing stuff right there. I can't do it justice.
And even we'll go even and talk about earlier for the dinner scene that they had, where he saved his pills, his pain medication. He saved the capsules and put them in almost like a piece of paper that he kind of folded into an envelope. And pretty much when Annie was getting them something to drink, or no, she poured the wine, but then he wanted candles, so that got her away from the wine or whatever. So he poured that into in her glass, basically would knock her out. And you think it's going to happen, and then she knocks it off, and it spills all over the dining room table. And that look at the feet that Paul Sheldon has, how the hell am I going to get out of this place? You know what I mean? I think that's such a good suspenseful shot too. I like that one, but to kind of bring it back to where we're at here near the end of the film. I like how he has her in a perfect spot to where he has that typewriter on the edge of his table where he's typing, and he just picks that up and slams that in her, and it's so it's so earned, because at this point his character has gone through hell. And it's nice to see Paul Sheldon get give Annie Wilkes her comeuppance.
Absolutely. And then just that final fight, and then just like killing her with the doorstep thing, just
Yeah,
great stuff. And then kind of the underrated part of like everyone remembers the final fight, but like the last little bit where his publisher is like,
yeah,
"Have you considered nonfiction?" And I'm like, "Hmm, maybe." And then the waitress is like, "Are you Paul Sheldon? I'm
yeah,
your biggest fan." And then
yeah,
Paul just has the greatest moment of PTSD.
yeah,
It, and he just is like, "That's very sweet of you."
yeah. It,
Just
it, it's
the
great.
urge to like run or hobble away in his case
Well, it's
is
great that you.
massively strong.
Well, when he's eating dinner with his publicist or lunch or whatever, he sees Kathy Bates' character coming up to him. And it's funny because at this point, you're like, wait a minute, what the hell? And then she goes, I just want to tell you I'm your number one fan, just like Annie Wilkes told Paul at the beginning of the film. So I like how they tie that in. I like it's a nice little, nod to what Annie said at the beginning of the film. I like that. So I think the movie ends perfectly with that.
Yes. And just from top to bottom, this is getting an amazing grade. Like Rob Reiner, like I said, could do no wrong. And somehow it's like we got one more movie to go left in the golden era, and we'll get to that in a second. But if you've never seen Misery, go out of your way to watch it. Like us talking about it can't properly like say, "Oh hey, like go watch,"
Yeah.
like go watch it.
Yeah,
Like
you got to watch it.
even if you're not into horror, watch it. Like it's not ghosts, it's not like Insidious or
Yeah, it's not like
and
jump scares and stuff like that. This is
it's
just scary. Like,
if any of you like Frida McFadden, you're gonna love this movie. It's very similar to the stuff she writes.
yeah,
And I know it's Stephen King, but I'm just saying stuff like The Housemaid that came out last year took notes from Misery. I'll just leave it at that.
yeah.
But what did you think about Misery? If you have seen it, let us know in the comments. We would love to read what you have to say. And Russell, it's a privilege to do this with you every week. Tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, you guys can find us on Facebook, Notorious by Chance. Our episode on Thor, On Our Way to Avengers Doomsday, is out, so check that one out. And we will be recording, I think this week sometime, our Oscar Best Picture winner, One Battle After Another. We'll be putting that out as well. And then we have probably other fun polls as well on there. And you guys can check us out on Notorious by Chance on the YouTube channel as well.
Yep, all those links down below. Subscribe to them over there. As far as this channel goes, in 2 weeks' time, we will return to the Reiner Project, and we will take a look at a movie that I have not seen, and Russell, I don't believe you've seen either. So we're officially popping the cherry on watching
Popping the cherry.
This is A Few Good Men, because we've never seen it and heard nothing but good things. We will be ordering the Code Red. But next Friday, we will be looking at back at the VHS franchise, and we'll be taking a look at VHS 99. But for Russell, my name is Ryan Cam. We will see you all in the next one. Y'all take care.